extraordinary moment unfolding in a courthouse in Manhattan. With Trump just a few feet away from her, E Jean Carroll is on the stand. She's being cross-examined by Trump attorney Alina Habba. Once trial wraps for the day, our colleague Lisa Rubin is going to join the program. But we begin with E Jean Carroll's incredible testimony so far. Today, she told a jury that one of the most powerful men in the planet assaulted her, lied about it, and ruined her reputation. To have the President of the United States, one of the most powerful persons on earth, call me a liar for 3 days and say it 26 times, I counted them, it ended the world I had been living in. And I lived in a new world, Carroll said. Hateful messages popped up on Twitter, on Facebook, hundreds of messages a day, some of them using the very same words Trump used to defame her, Carroll said. And according to Carroll, all of it happened because Trump lied about her. Quote, he said, I made up an accusation to sell a book. That is a lie. He said, I made up the accusation for publicity's sake. That is a lie. He said, my accusation damaged the real victims of sexual assault. That is a lie. He said, people like me who make false accusations are very dangerous, in very dangerous territory, that I shouldn't have done it for the sake of publicity. That is also a lie. Her attorney asked her, have you paid dearly, Miss Carroll? She responded, I've paid just about as dearly as possible to pay.
Pretty compelling testimony from E Jean Carroll as she is once again back in the courtroom to sue Donald Trump for a second time for continuously defaming her. This after last May, when a jury found Trump liable for sexually assaulting E Jean Carroll, defined by the judge as for raping her. And within days of being found liable, he was ordered to pay E Jean Carroll $5 million. But then right on brand, Trump went right back to attacking and defaming her again. And his intimidation tactics have continued right into this second trial and into this courtroom in front of the judge and jury.
Testimony, Trump huffed and he puffed. He slammed the table at one point, leading Judge Kaplan to ask him to keep his voice down. That did not stop Trump.
I mean, it does feel to me, and I'm not an attorney, but you know, while she is going up and telling her story, and E Jean Carroll is being exceptionally brave, as many women and really any victim of sexual assault will know, it seems that the former president is continuing to try to intimidate her.
Of course.
In the courtroom, in front of the entire world.
That's how criminal predators behave, and Donald Trump is a predator.
The confrontation between the victim of a rape and her rapist is always going to be a powerfully emotional and just incredibly traumatizing one. And the trauma is really the word that we need to focus on here because, number one, this isn't a criminal case, right? This is a civil case, but it's the same emotions that are involved. And we've talked as prosecutors about re-traumatizing a victim of sexual assault because every time they have to tell their stories, it's hard and you relive it over and over again.
It's the trauma. Most sex assault victims are initially in a state of shock after they've been attacked, after the crime. And then if they are subjected to being around their perpetrator, because according to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 8 out of 10 rape victims knew their attacker. But even if that's not the case, the fear of coming forward is real because victims are terrified of being re-victimized again. And because of that fear, rape is the most underreported crime, according to the center. 63% of sex assaults are not reported to police. Only 12% of child sexual abuse is ever reported to authorities, which just breaks my heart. And the prevalence of false reports is estimated to be between 2 and 10%. In fact, I would wager that the percentage of unreported rape or sex assaults is even higher than 63% because so many victims are absolutely terrified to come forward. And that is why it is critically important for women and other victims of sex assault to see E Jean Carroll holding Donald Trump, a very wealthy, powerful white man, a former U.S. president, accountable.
All the while, the former president continues to defame and insult her, calling her names, mocking her looks, even interrupting her in court this weekend. Also in his writings on Truth Social, he just can't stop. But here's the thing. Ms. Carroll will not be silenced. She sued, she won, she's suing again. That's because she wants Donald Trump to pay, to actually experience a consequence finally. And her cases have given us yet another glimpse at how Trump views women as subpar, sex toys, things to look at, there for his amusement or maybe for that of his friends like Jeffrey Epstein.
Now, according to reports that I have found, there are at least 26 women who have accused Trump of sexual assault, and one of them is his late wife, Ivana Trump, who alleged Trump of, quote, raping her in a fit of rage in 1989. She later walked that statement back, claiming that she didn't mean it in a literal or criminal sense. But I am inclined to believe Ivana Trump's first statement. Imagine the terror and the rage that Donald Trump would have unleashed on her to keep her silenced. He would likely threaten to cut her off monetarily, perhaps away from their children. That is what predators do. They threaten their victims into silence. I've seen it firsthand many times. But I want to share with you a story about a young mom I covered a few years ago here in Virginia. Her domestic partner, she had just recently filed a restraining order against him because of the domestic violence in the home. He broke into the home while she and their children were sleeping and attempted to murder her by stabbing her multiple times in the neck. Miraculously, she survived this brutal attack by crawling to a road by the house and waving down help. Not only was she incredibly brave to have survived that attack, but she then showed up to testify in court against her attacker, which many domestic violence victims are understandably terrified to do. I happened to be sitting next to her right before the trial was beginning, and so the perpetrator was sitting up at the front with his defense attorneys, and the courtroom was getting settled, waiting for the judge and jury to file in. And I will never forget this. This perpetrator turned around and looked at her, and she was sitting directly to my right. And with the most maniacal and evil grin, he did this to her. I mean, I can't emulate the evil on his face, but it chilled me. In other words, you better shut up because I'll silence you again. And this woman escaped by a thread of losing her life. And this kind of victim intimidation done openly in a courtroom, as I witnessed it with this woman, is what Donald Trump is doing to E Jean Carroll in a different fashion, but the nonstop attacks on his social media platforms, muttering, waving his hands at the judge. He is trying to intimidate E Jean Carroll into silence again. And, it's really difficult for many prosecutors to even get victims of sexual assault to testify because of the fear of being re-traumatized and re-victimized. And it is horrible for children. I've covered several cases involving children who are sexual abuse survivors. And the toughest part is for prosecutors to actually get children and or if they have a good guardian, to agree to testify against their perpetrators because they're so afraid. And often that doesn't happen because of the fear for these kids. It breaks my heart. And then as a result, prosecutors don't have as strong of a case. And then the perpetrators are often given a lighter sentence and allowed to get out and reoffend again. So it is really like something to see E Jean Carroll, after all of the years that have passed, stand up and hold Donald Trump to account. And here's what she said on the stand, quote, "I wanted people to know that a woman can speak up and win in trial. I don't want to be quiet. I'm 80. It's not right to make a woman quiet. It has been going on for too long." Amen to that, E Jean Carroll. You know what? We really need to stand up for victims of sexual abuse and make it safer for them to come forward. We need stronger systems of support for women, for children, and yes, men who have been violated, to be confident in reporting sex crimes, to stop the re-victimization, and to remove the shame from it. We need a stronger criminal justice system to make sure that repeat offenders don't get to re-offend again. That's one of the main reasons, like I said, children don't end up testifying against their perpetrators, the re-victimization. And you know what? I'm so glad that E Jean Carroll is coming forward and doing this. She is, for me personally, I'm just so inspired by her. And I know that she is standing up for the cause of sex assault victims across the country. And I'm so glad that President Biden reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act, which strengthens survivor support networks. And we certainly need to send, as a nation and as a criminal justice system, a message to a former United States president that there are consequences for violence against women. and that he is going to pay for what he did. My name is Suri Crowe, and you are watching the MeidasTouch Network. Thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you back here very soon. In the meantime, I wish you peace.
Thanks so much for watching. We're only a few subscribers short of 2 million subs. Please subscribe right now to the MeidasTouch YouTube channel for free and help us grow this unapologetically pro-democracy network.